don't meet your heroes. Well, today we're going to prove that wrong because I have the honor, the pleasure, and the privilege to be joined by one of my lifelong heroes, the first comic book writer whose name I could recognize,
Aw.
the writer of New Avengers, Dark Avengers, every Avengers under the sun, Ultimate Spider Man, the creator of Miles Morales, Naomi. The list goes on and on and on. The man's contributions could run as long as his career has been, and that is not going to stop anytime soon. We are joined by the legendary Brian Michael Bendis. Thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here.
That was very sweet. Thank you very much. I always have to like step on and say co-creator of Miles Morales,
Yeah.
co-creator. We live in a world where people are kind of creator hogs, and I try to do everything I can to like make sure, kind of set the table and nothing's done alone, particularly in comics. Everything is a collaboration, and it's my favorite part. So, but thank you for all the nice things you just said.
Immediately proving why you're one of the good ones.
Absolutely. And we would expect no
Yeah.
less of Mr. Bendis. The chat is very happy that you are here.
Oh, great. Can I
Um,
see the chat? Do I not see the chat?
Yeah, we got it.
uh, can you send him a link so
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
check it
yeah.
out?
I'll look at
Thank
the
you.
Yeah,
chat. Yeah,
I
Um,
was.
I'm on the Zoom, so I'm not on the YouTube, right? Is that what's happening here?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's dive in. I'll trust you. I'll tell everyone listening now or later that I did say that I'm an open book. I'm happy to bring perspective or closure to any subject that this podcast has been wrestling with over the years. And but whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm happy to do so.
well, the first thing I want to make sure we get out there and say is thank you to Dark Horse for setting this up. Powers 25 is dropping September 10th. So you don't have long to wait. Make sure you guys rush out. Let your LCS know that you want it. We actually had the privilege of reading it ahead of time.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah,
Okay.
it was fantastic.
Ah, thank you.
It was a breath of fresh air. Like you and Michael Avon Oeming are two creators that I always expect the best from. And so going back to the well with Powers, you never
Mm.
know. You guys struck
Yeah.
dynamite,
Yeah.
you know, but here we are again, and it feels just as fresh and it's exciting.
Thank
And it's cool to see that you guys can still make this happen. It's kind of magic.
Well, privately behind the scenes, I agree that it's very exciting to like have a partner that you love so much that, we've only grown in our relationship since we first started Powers 25 years ago. For those who don't know, Powers 25 is a continuation of our Powers series that has been going on now on and off for 25 years, which is an amazing thing for us to even consider. Every creative endeavor starts with the smallest little acorn, and you're hoping for the best, and you don't know where it will lead you or what will happen. And Powers was a book where I made a new friend. We started making comics together, and everything about it was everything you'd want to happen in comics. An excellent collaboration that becomes family, experiences beyond anything you were considering when you started the thing, and you built something that even though I'm not wired for pride, it's not part of my wiring. I find myself proud of the relationship and what we built, and so over the last couple of years, um, I took a break from superhero comics for the first time in decades, consciously. Like, all right, let's looking at some of my heroes in other fields and stuff, like sometimes taking a step back, reassessing and seeing what else you have to say, if anything else. And I was making notes and thinking of things and thinking of new ideas. And, Miles and Jessica Jones has opened all these doors for me to create new stuff for new publishers and new ideas. And that's where Phenomena and other stuff I've been doing over the last couple of years has come from. But I kept writing down these ideas, and Mike kept whispering, "Let's go back to Powers." I'm like, "No, forward!" And meanwhile, I kept writing ideas down that literally said, "Oh, if we had a thing like Powers, this would be perfect." And I'm like, and I was getting closer to the idea of, yeah, just do that thing that you love doing with your friend that you love so much, who wants to do it. And then last year, Patton Oswalt and Jordan Bloom asked me to be part of Minor Threats, which is a very different but similarly built new superhero universe with a unique perspective. And I did a book with Sue Lee where we put some new characters in the universe for them, and it was a blast. I had the best time, and I literally like halfway through wrote them. I'm going back to Paris because I'm loving this so much. Like I now I want to do Powers. Also, we have the weird experience of knowing the entire time we were making Powers at Image, Marvel, DC, that it was a Dark Horse book, that we were just like,
Mm.
we should be a Dark Horse. This is a Dark Horse book. And we're local in town to Dark Horse. We have a lot of friends over there. So when I say that, it's not just, pining for something that's not there. We were invited to be part of it. And so when it came time for our 25th anniversary, I had a bunch of new ideas, fresh takes on the things that we built Powers on in the first place, which is, for people who don't know, a homicide detective series that takes place in the superhero universe, and all hell breaks loose from there. And I have new ideas, new takes. On top of that, me and Mike, though we were not making Powers, we were making Murder Inc. and a bunch of other stuff. So we were constantly developing and working on our collaboration. So we had new tools to bring back to Powers when it was time for this. So I was excited. But yeah, like, you guys are pop culture professors. There's a bunch of examples of people returning home and going, yeah, maybe don't do that. And others that exceeded expectations. And we've actually just this year, I had two big inspirations, both in Danny Boyle coming back to 28 years later. That was like, wow, look at a giant ass swing that doesn't rely on anything from the past. And same thing, weirdly for me, with Soderbergh doing Black Bag. Like, he's returning to a genre, but with every new tool. And also just someone of his background in library, having something new to say with a hardcore genre. It was just deeply inspiring to me, and others as well. I was excited to try this, and so I'm thrilled that it hit you well. That makes me happy.
Yeah. I think that the biggest compliment I could pay you regarding Powers 25 number one is that it feels like you've returned to it with something to say
Yeah.
that feels interesting and current. And that's what you've always done. So I love that. And that makes me excited to see what you and Mike are going to say in 2025 with this same world and how it's evolved and the ways it hasn't evolved.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big one is that, like, when we debuted in the late 90s, we were unabashedly a Watchmen baby, like many, many, many other comics and movies and stuff were. But at the same time, it was pretty unique to be a Watchmen baby. There was only a handful that were landing like you'd hope they would. And over the course of the last years, and even being in the room for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so many Watchmen ideas just became mainstream. It wasn't the alternative take of superheroes. It's basically a lot of the takes of superheroes. You look at, like, Captain America: Brave New World. That's a very Watchmen movie. Like, there's the president's a Hulk. Hold on, it's not. Stuff's going on. So if everything's Watchmen, then what's the reaction to that?
Mm.
And our new Power series is a generational shift, where there's a new generation of detectives and a new generation of superheroes, all responding to what came before in the Powers universe, which will reflect a lot of what we have seen in our culture, both in superhero and outside of it. So that is the statement that we're going to make, and I'm excited that you didn't read it and go, no, don't do that. But that's also what could happen, is that we have a new hot take. I'm like, yeah, we don't like that. Don't do that take. That's a bad take. And there's examples of that in many mediums that we've all experienced.
Sure.
So just learning the lessons and really, like, taking in all the lessons of my heroes and my not heroes and seeing what we could do to elevate. All of this speaking to the fact that I just want to make cool comics with my friends and make something I would buy. It always comes back to the simplest idea. Would I buy this with this cool Mike Mignola cover? Absolutely I would. So that's what it comes down to.
I,
And every Marvel DC book, that was always the magic formula. Would I buy this? I buy a lot of stuff, so I'm an easy target, but at the same time, well, if I'm an easy target and I wouldn't buy it, then why are you trying to sell it?
Right.
Yeah.
I love that that's how your the impetus for all of Powers was very much a reaction. I've never heard you speak on sort of how that came to be, but it makes sense and it makes me rethink a lot of even like the first couple series of how reflective you were in it. One of my favorite issues early on was number 7, where Warren Ellis kind of takes a ride along, and so now that you're saying that adds
A
context.
pre-canceled war,
Of
like
course, of
decades
course,
before Warren revealed himself. Yeah.
but but
FYI.
it drives the point home of how you were even looking at the comic itself at its inception, and that drives a point now to where we're at with some of the returning characters. For context, Powers has been the one of my first independent, Image or otherwise comics, and so it
Oh,
a
thanks.
very special place in my heart. And so to be coming back with that reflection to what you're saying now, to even being able to see Dina Pilgrim again.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
It's one of my favorite things because Dina has for a long. First of all, if you've never read Powers before, you can read this clean.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
built sturdily to do that. It would be arrogant for it to be anything but a strong number one. And just like any number one, there's a story. Happens to be that we published it. So if you want to go back and read it, great. If you don't, that's cool. But for people who've been with Dina and also Powers fans, it's been a while since we published something. So even for me to expect even the most diehard fans to remember everything would be pretty arrogant as well. So we really built it to be here's a story of this new detective. Oh, and also there's this grizzled captain who's got a long, infamous history with the Powers universe. If you want to see it, we have made it and you can watch it, but you don't need to know.
Yeah.
But this is a character who some of the audience knows and she knows has done some bad things to fight some bad people. And there was this quote that was floating around Instagram that Al Pacino was either giving an award to Francis Ford Coppola or Francis Ford Coppola was giving an award to Al Pacino. I forget who was getting it, but he said, "We're at that age where they're giving us lifetime achievement awards for stuff they were firing us for." Back in the day, literally, it's the exact same thing. We have in the arts, we experience this all the time. That thing I got screamed at on the internet 20 years ago, now it's the thing everyone says nice things about me for, and I have to like compartmentalize it. But for Dina, she knows she's done some stuff, and now it's looked at in a way that she's not comfortable with and is dealing with it. And I love that. That's like a story I haven't gotten to tell yet, and a perspective of a character that I haven't gotten to tell yet. And also having the benefit of, oh, you can go read this. This exists. You can go get it if you want. And that's pretty cool.
In
So
a very similar way, you've built your own sandbox universe. Like if someone had questions about, let's say, New Avengers #1, which you wrote, and they were like, well, why this? And what's up with that? You could point them to those prior issues and say, well, it's here if you want it. Same exact scenario with Power. So I think if you're a fan of superhero comics, you can very easily wrap your head around this concept. And I say buy Powers 25 #1 because it's really damn good,
thanks.
and then work your way back because that's fun to do as comics fans. We've all
There
been there.
is, for people watching live right now, you go to any of my social media, there is a link. You can buy Powers Volume 1, like the first year of Powers publishing. You can have it for free digitally on Amazon, Global Comics, like any digital. As part of our 25th anniversary, we're kind of giving you a big chunk of it for free. So you can go right now and download it, share it around. We want people to have it. It makes me feel good when people discover it this way.
Yeah, the first hit is free. Then the
Yeah,
rest of
that's
it, yeah.
right. First brownie's free.
Yeah. So I had a question regarding Powers. Were there any like storylines or plot points that you didn't quite get to before Powers 25 that when you were writing Powers 25, it kind of recontextualized things for you?
No, I think the break is what I needed. I need like when we did it for 20th anniversary, we did a very big graphic novel, which we'd never done before, a graphic novel experience, which is like hundreds of pages. I think it's Oming's best work. I'm kind of stunned by it when I re-looked at it coming towards this anniversary. I thought maybe that would be the end of us. So I wrote everything I could think of that I thought I needed to say within those hundreds of pages of Powers. Thinking, well, that's it. 20 years, that's an incredible run. There's a handful of independent comics that get to say that, right? And so high five, let's do new stuff. But when we got to 25, it was almost like a clear deck. All right, now I know what we've done, and I know also what other people have done. Like there was other people toying with, the boys and Black Hammer, and like there's other and Minor Threats. There's other shared universes with perspectives that are scratching an itch. The minute we had a new perspective, a new idea that will reveal itself, a couple new ideas that will reveal themselves over the course of the first few issues, that it was all focused on the new and excited that the history of the book was there to back it all up, right? Like every once in a while, there's a moment between Enki, who's also a returning character from previous years, Enki, the captain of the squad now. There's history there, and I'm not writing it with cheekiness. I'm writing with some authority. Like I was there when she thought this idea, or I was there when she changed her mind about this, or I was there when she decided to be captain, or what that would mean for her and her position and things. And also, we're opening the book to a world where all the rules are changing. Like every part of Powers, there was a status quo, and that status quo is being dismantled as they're opening a new case. And I know a lot of my friends feel that way in their jobs, no matter what their jobs are. I'm like, oh, you keep changing the rules on me as I'm trying to finish this project. Um, I wanted to explore that idea. I think that's a universal idea that a lot of people are feeling, no matter what industry they're in.
We've got nearly 100 people hanging out with us
Oh,
right
thanks,
now
everybody. That's cool. On a
from
Monday afternoon.
on a
That's very
Monday
cool.
afternoon. And that's
Yeah.
the power of Bendis. That is the power of the legacy that you have created that is ongoing, and it continues with Powers 25. Go out and grab Powers 25 #1. It drops September 10th. So, again, you don't have long to wait. You can even get every issue of the first year of Powers for free. You can check Bendis out on all his social platforms, and you will be able to get that. I think that's a great deal. I mean, free is always a great deal. And then you're getting great comics on top of that. You can't really beat it.
Yeah.
It's not possible. Now, you don't know this, but we are actually in the middle of something that we call Ultimate August.
Okay.
And what we've been doing is we've been deep diving into the history of the Ultimate Universe and taking a look at some of the great stuff that happened during it, some of the not so great stuff that happened during it, and kind of explaining to the audience and telling the story of the behind the scenes of the Ultimate Universe and what made it so special. And in my wildest dreams, I mean, we reached out to you to try to get you here, but in my wildest dreams, I didn't think we'd be able to talk to you during Ultimate August.
Oh,
So
great.
if it's possible, would you be able to talk about what your feelings were going into the inception of Ultimate Spider-Man? I've been living in Bendis interviews for the last month, and so I've read a lot about what you've had to say. And the thing that struck me the most is that you talked about how the initial idea, you weren't the original writer
No,
that
I was not.
they
Yeah.
had gone to, and that the initial writer basically did what anyone would do, which was, hey, it's Spider-Man, just do it again. And you said no. Stan Lee's biggest regret was that he couldn't take ASM 15 or Amazing Fantasy 15 and tell that story over a longer period of pages. And so you said, you know what? We're going to do it over X amount of issues, over 6 or 7 issues.
Yeah, he literally said in an interview, it was a very freeing idea to me. Yeah, you're saying two gifts I was given. Number one, I've been trying for years since I was 6 years old to get Marvel's attention. So like I literally would send them submissions with stuff I drew on a Denny's menu. Like I literally there was no end to the amount of nudging I was doing, including and then throughout the 90s where I had lucked out and gotten to be published in college and stayed published all through the 90s making these crime comics which led up to what Powers became. But I did the book called Torso and Jinx, and it was a lot of my time at Image Comics making these books and slowly coming to the realization, as much as I wanted to work at Marvel and DC, that what the creator I was becoming wasn't what they published. So why are you bothering them? Like literally like I was like I sent like a Jinx graphic novel to Tom Brevoort. Like, he doesn't publish anything like this. Why am I bothering him? And but I was only half right in that when I did get the call, it was because I wasn't writing like 100 Spider-Man submissions. I was writing characters and building my storytelling techniques. And when Joe called me and offered me the gig, it was I even said, "Oh, why did you hire me?" He goes, "Oh, because you're writing characters. I need characters. I need voices." Anyone can throw a punch. I need someone with a take. And I'm like, oh wow, okay. And it was like one of those things like an idea you've heard from other interviews and other people's journey. And they're like, oh, I'm here. I'm at that moment where I was at the right place at the right time with the right tool. And so I got hired to do Daredevil first as a quote unquote favor to Joe. It was a book that was off schedule at the moment. Hey, would you and your best friend David Mack like to come in and do Daredevil for a few issues? Yes. So by the time I got the gig, I had a bit of a feisty attitude about like, well, you're either going to like me or not. I'm sick of being rejected. I've been rejected 150 times just this year. So I'm just going to write it. And over the weekend, I wrote with a little passion and I handed it in. And if you like it, great. If you don't, fire me. There's nothing I can do about it. This is who I am. I was all ready for whatever was coming. And then I believe that Monday, I got a call. Hey, you're a Spider-Man fan, right? And I go, yeah, who's not a Spider-Man fan? And he goes, well, we've been working on this plan to start Spider-Man over from scratch. Is that something you'd want to do? Which is it went from you can't get a job there to here's something you'd even think you could ever do, right? And I was like, yes. And then I found out that they're working on this entry level line of comics. At the time, it was called Ground Zero Comics, which would have been a terrible title, and also marketing negative. And even before it had another term
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And it was Spider-Man and X-Men, and they were struggling with the take. And so I was gifted with here's what the other writer attempted, and it was very close to what any writer would attempt, which is this isn't broke, don't try to fix it, just do a version of Amazing Fantasy 15. But when you do that, it can often come off like when you guys hear like a cover of a song, you want a take on it. Don't just do it exactly the way Paul McCartney did it. Do add something to it, right? So I was like, yeah, that doesn't work. It just doesn't work, right? And also like John Byrne had done it recently, which
Yes.
I did not know at the time. I had kind of tapped out on some areas of mainstream comics. So when I was getting dinged for the announcement, Ultimate Spider-Man, oh, they're doing chapter one again? They just did it. I'm like, what? What are you talking about? But both those takes kind of showed me well, that's why that doesn't work. Like I'm happy. And I don't mean to diss anybody, but it was just like there's been times where you look at something and go, you're almost grateful someone else did it, so you can look at it, learn from it, and move forward. And I'm sure I've been that for some people as well. But I got the experience of seeing, yeah, if you do that, that's what it'll read like, which was soulless and you're not adding anything to it. And at the exact same period of time, Stan Lee did an interview where he literally said, Amazing Fantasy 15 is only 11 pages because that's all they would give me. The publisher didn't believe it. didn't believe in it. He goes, spiders are icky. No one's dying for a Spider-Man. I don't get it. Like, and you can even from the publisher's perspective, yeah, I get people don't like spiders. I get it, right? And he literally said, "Oh, I wish I had like 6 issues to tell that story." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm free." He like literally almost gave me permission to do it. So that became my North Star and my take. And I was so grateful that later on, he and John Romita and some other creators that I never thought would ever know my name were very, very generous in their support of us. I think they saw that I didn't think I knew better than them. I wasn't fixing something that was broken. He wasn't, any of those mistakes you would worry about when you hear reboot, right? Or something like that. We weren't doing that, and they saw it quickly. And I'll never forget a reporter from Wizard Magazine called me up and said, "Hey, Stan had something to say about your Ultimate Spider-Man. Do you want to hear it?" I go, "No, I don't. I did not think these words would ever come out of someone's face." But he was very gracious to me, both publicly and privately, and it was very cool. So,
And Ultimate Spider-Man, in my mind, very much reads, and I didn't realize this at the time. I was a kid, but looking back on it, it reads very much like, okay, I have the benefit, if I'm you, I have the benefit of I can see everything that happened in mainline Spider-Man's career. And I can choose sort of what is
cherry
his life
pick.
story.
Yep. It's 100% cherry picking stuff that I know that would work, stuff that I thought I had something to say about.
Right.
And even getting into some areas where I wasn't a big Venom fan. Like I grew up in a time where Venom had gotten overdone. Sometimes some of the publishers like kind of like, oh, you like that character? Well, choke on it. Here's 50 of them. They like, oh, they don't curate it. They really kind of like slam you with it. And I wasn't into Venom, but then at the same time, you can't help but go, wow, look how successful Venom is what's the idea here that everyone loves? Like there's an idea here, right? Like let's get into that. So I would take some things that were maybe controversial or had a reputation in the Spider-Man universe, most importantly Venom and the Clone Saga that had spun out of control at one point or another, particularly in the 90s, and kind of answer to that. Like, well, the Clone Saga was successful because it's a great freaking idea. So what if like it really had a structure to it, right? So these ideas, so it was both cherry picking and whatever the opposite of cherry picking is, and trying to surprise and delight everyone as we went. But I think the other thing I was benefiting from is he's going to be Spider-Man. Don't worry about that. Like Spider-Man's coming. Let's meet Peter Parker and hang out with him. And the fact I got to go many issues, many times without him ever putting on the costume and no one ever complained was one of the great gifts of my life. And that was always like, how long can I keep this going when someone just goes, stop it. And no one ever did about there was other things I did that pissed people off in the run that I felt dramatically, but it was never too much Peter.
I've read a lot of Ultimate Comics over the last month, and there are varying degrees of, I don't want to use the word faithfulness because the Ultimate Universe wasn't necessarily about being faithful to mainline.
Spiritually faithful,
Thank you. That's
100%.
exactly what I
That
what I was angling for. And so Ultimate Spider-Man, even though there are various differences between mainline and Ultimate, it feels spiritually faithful. So I always feel safe reading it in
I
the
think,
sense that I trust you to know what it is that I'm hoping for from Spider-Man. And even if it doesn't land in the exact way it's in my mind, it feels like Peter. It feels like his world. It feels hopeful. And that is in stark contrast to some of the other things that happen in the Ultimate Universe that almost feel nihilistic and less reverential of the original material, if that makes sense.
yeah, totally. And also being aware that like and you talk about Mark, right? Like Mark is
Yeah.
coming at it, on fire. Like I'm coming in it with a crime writer's character first passion and Mark's coming at it with, "Oh, you don't like the authority? Well, fuck you. Here we go." And it was very public about it, so it's not like I'm talking out of school.
Sure.
So there's something about, all right, they're going to work at that. The Ultimates are going to work at that level, but Peter's still in high school, and dealing with high school is the most important thing, right? And everything about that experience, and you're not, you're not fully an adult, but you're not a child. It's one of the great reasons like I love to write characters of this age is that everything hurts, everything's hilarious, your first love, first hurt, first betrayal, and it's one of the themes of the book. Something I still wrestle with even as a parent is when you're in an age where you figure out part of the world just sucks and it's not ever going to not suck and like, oh, Kingpin's never going to jail no matter what I do. And they go back and forth between Kingpin and Norman, both of which are telling a story about responsibility and adulthood that he's learning from directly, even as he's making his own choices. So that was a very once I had the gig, once I'm like, oh, I get to stay more than five issues, that became like the thematic spine of the series, which was we're going to go back and forth between Norman and Kingpin, and it's going to escalate his knowledge of, oh, how many times do I have to web Kingpin to the crime scene and him not go to jail? Like some people just don't go to jail. And again, this was 20 years, this is 25 years ago, right? So this is not like a new idea. I know some people feel it like that's a rip from the headline idea. It's sadly an always idea.
But it still hits. I mean, we've recently been
Yeah.
reading it again, and one of the things that, to what you're saying now, I remember distinctly, and just laughing out loud was when Peter's in doing research. He's on the computer. He just got hired at the Daily Bugle, and he's like, "Hey, how come they don't, arrest him?" And then somebody comes over and just says, well, the last time that we kind of did an expose or something happened, he bought 40% of the company. Uh, Amazing. Like that is a life, not affirming, but a life reality that hits Peter smack in the face.
Hmm. Yep. And again, that was many, many years ago I wrote those words. So, yeah.
Relevant as always.
Yeah. Sucks.
Now
Wish it wasn't. Anyway.
we all do. Um, so Spider-Man happens. I know I'm skipping ahead a lot.
Oh, yeah, go. We got, yeah. Wherever we want to go.
And I just reread Spider-Man, which for those of you who aren't familiar, this is the very first Ultimate mainline crossover where Peter and Miles get to meet. So 616 adult Peter meets Miles after Ultimate Spider-Man Peter passes and Miles takes on the mantle. I'm sure you've heard this before. You'll hear it again. I can't have you here and not thank you for issue 4 of Spider-Man.
Ah.
And I'm going to try to keep myself composed. I was raised by my aunt. And when Peter and Aunt May have that conversation, and she says, I see that I did the right thing because she just lost her nephew. And now he is from another universe, walks through the door, and he's okay. And he's a good man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's the gift of a multiverse is that you get to tell like fables and stories like that where people have healing moments that we know come in different ways. Like you may come across a photo or a video or a memory and it hits you. All the good that came from something that may have ended tragically or not ended the way you want it to be. But the multiverse idea can, on its best moments, allow like a physical manifestation of that, like to process grief or panic or any of the other issues that would come across the thing. Yeah, it was there's a lot of things with Miles that was just good timing, publishing wise, where things were just lining up in a way where I could take a chance and go there or go here. And it was one of the reasons I kept staying on Spider-Man is that like hey, we're gonna bring Miles to the 616. I'm like, oh, I should stay for that. Like I was always like, should I leave? And it was always there's always something keeping me, and yeah, it was a great gift. I also had the opportunity, as much as I loved doing the Spider-Man series, that basically became like the backbone of the Spider-Verse idea of the
Yeah,
movie. Hold on one second. I'm getting text. I always make sure everyone's okay while we're talking.
not a
But
problem.
there was another project. There was another project called Generations that was actually generated in-house, where they said, "Hey, we're going to have the characters meet their heroes or their legacy um, partner, or whatever you want to call it, at a certain time in their life." So I got to get Miles to go back to meet teenage Peter Parker that was the same age as him. And then and I'm years into my Spider-Man run, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally discovering through Miles' perspective what a depressed, sad child Peter was. Peter didn't have any friends. Peter really didn't have much of a family situation, right? Whereas Miles has friends and his mother and father, and like a very different relationship to the world, right? And that idea that was was altering to me. And I was like almost glad I stayed on Spider-Man for so long so I can get to that revelation, right? And it was soon after that that Danny Fingeroth wrote a book about Stan. I don't know if any of you got to read it, but if you get a chance, it's a really good one. And I've read books about Stan. I got to go to lunch with Stan, like you know, but in this book he described something I never had connected before, that when he was 15 and 16, Stan had to go into the city and work as basically a glorified intern for his uncle who worked in publishing, which would be eventually become Marvel Comics. But at the time, it was just, grimy magazine publishing. And everyone was kind of, busting his balls and giving him shit because he was a kid in the office, right? So this idea that he would go work for his mean uncle, cut to Peter goes to work for J. Jonah Jameson. That was Stan revealing a truth about his life and a
Wow.
frustration and maybe even a trauma that he couldn't maybe even wrap his head around, or maybe not even been aware of, that he was sharing something so, excuse me, so intimate. And as a teacher and a writer, and you get to learn that the more you share of yourself, even in a fantastical way, the more you really bring yourself to it, the more universal it becomes. Even if the details of your life are very specific, people see themselves in it even more. It's a weird thing, but you learn it, and it's never not fascinating. And then here's Stan, made 100 million characters in that time frame, but the one that was the most intimately connected to his journey and his trauma is the one that
Wow.
the audience completely loves, and they don't even know that's why they love it. They don't even know that's the extra sauce. Because I remember even like when I was my early days of being a Spider-Man writer, you start getting your head about why Spider, like, yeah, like you start thinking like the publisher, why is this successful? It's a weird design. It's everything about it is weird. Nothing about it reflects a moment of culture, or sometimes you see superhero costumes, you go, oh, I know what era that was invented. But Spider-Man was always like Ditko at his most Ditko. And I remember I was at the grocery store, and I saw like I heard like a little baby, a toddler scream, Spider-Man! And I couldn't help but turn around and see like literally a 2-year-old in a shopping cart reaching for a plushie Spider-Man, one of those big-headed plushie Spider-Man Tycho things, right? It's like, man, I'm like, this kid doesn't know who Peter Parker is. This kid doesn't know anything about Spider-Man. Yet that design, that weird little blob means something. It's just fascinating when you can hit generational pay dirt that way. And here is like 50 years later, and still connecting with an audience. It baffles me. And I do think the DNA of it being Stan trauma and Ditko feelings all mished up into this unique thing is what makes magic in our literature and our culture. It's just incredible. And again, it stands always as the guy where And even though I've got to have a couple conversations with him privately, I got to talk to Stanley Lieber, not Stanley. Like I got to talk to the guy,
It's
and
amazing.
I loved it. But I had so many questions about his relationship to the world that you don't want to ask a guy in his 80s. You're just going to go, "Hey, so what was with you and your dad?" Because like you read every book he ever wrote, and the father is either the villain, dead, or betraying everything about the situation. Like the Matt Murdock, Harry Osborn, it just goes on and on and on and on. And clearly there's a deep, my father isn't what he said he was thing going on in his work. And I was always dying to ask him. I could never bring myself to do it. There's an age where you just can't ask someone about their day. But to the point where you may have heard me say this in an interview, when I got the job and me and Joe were becoming friends, Joe said, "Hey, what's your relationship with your dad?" And I said, "Oh, I don't have one, sadly." And he goes, "Oh, you're going to do great here."
That's encouraging.
Like everyone knew that was the magic sauce. The dad issues is a big part. What's going on here?
Ah, my goodness. I could listen to you talk forever. This is such a crazy thing. Bendis is here with us. Thank you to everybody who is listening so far. We have had a ton of super chats coming in. We'll get to what we can. It's very difficult because we want to talk to Bendis, but we do want to let you guys have your say as well. They're writing in because they're so
I'm
excited
just
that you're
cooking. I'm gonna
here.
see if we can find a what's the most controversial question?
Oh, you want
Oh
like a
no.
lore question? You want to know
Yeah,
what
I'll
was
go
behind
there.
that door in Wolverine's brain?
Well, let me hit you with
Narrative
one.
technique. Gotta
Sure. Yep.
find it.
So Atomic Hound just wants to say, Brian, want to know how big a deal you are in these parts? There have been 8 Comics Pals book clubs in 2025, counting tomorrow's. Tomorrow's is actually about Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh,
Um,
thanks, guys.
of course. 3 selections have been your work. Thanks for your many contributions to this beautiful medium.
It is what a gift. Thank you so much. You have no idea what that means to me because you're writing, you're trying, you're doing your best, putting it for you, and sometimes you have to wait to see what the actual reaction is. Sometimes you have to wait years. Sometimes you find out in the moment. Sometimes the reaction in the moment isn't a reaction down the line. It's crazy. Like I don't react to like news the way I used to because I'm like, well, let's see.
Right.
Let's see what people think. Like even good news and bad news. We'll find out, right?
Right. As the world turns, and you never know
And when I
how it's
bring
going
up
to
like
turn.
stuff that people screamed at me about online, the people now are stunned. Like how much shit I got for Ronin, like just mad,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
yelling at me. How dare you? And I'm like, oh, this is this one, okay. And then Ronin comes on screen on
Yep.
Avengers Endgame, and everyone's like high fiving me, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, you're mad at me. You said you were mad at me. So it's yeah.
Those people that were at you on the forums are not allowed to get that Marvel Rivals Ronin skin anymore.
I know, but it's even like I have, people yell at me and you look at their social media and the thing they're yelling at me about is their avatar. And you're like, oh, okay, well, it's a complicated relationship we're having. That's fine.
One of the things that was important for me to address with the audience before you came on was that
Hmm.
when people are here, when people are alive, when they can still receive your words,
Yeah.
you need to give them their flowers. And one of the
Oh,
most,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
and I think it's totally true. We in the comic book space have lost so many creators who never had the chance to live in a space where the internet was a thing. So people could just reach out to them and tell them, hey, I love you. Your book affected me in such and such way. So many of them didn't get to see their characters on screen,
Yes,
which has
that I think
happened.
about a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's so important for me and for the audience that the impact that you have had on this thing that we love so much. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. It just doesn't happen.
Thank you.
The
I
first,
well,
sorry,
me
go
and
ahead.
my friends took it all very seriously, and so I'm grateful that that was the response was you also heard us. Like that's amazing. Um, I did, I when I first entered the space where I could talk to some of my heroes, I literally remember being at San Diego Con and me and David Mack were just nerding out on Bill Sienkiewicz, just nerd, just like Chris Farley show, embarrassing. Hey, remember New Mutants? That was awesome, kind of stuff. And he said, "You know what's cool? Like when we were doing New Mutants, we didn't hear from anybody. Like there was no internet. You get like a couple of fan letters. Some of them weren't happy because it was different than Bob McLeod, right? And so I had to wait years to find out that I was making all you crazy, right? And then I realized, oh yeah, I get to find out like that day. Like that's what a gift that is, right? And then I was reading like during the pandemic, I was reading some Jack Kirby biography stuff, and there are some interviews where he literally says like what he dreamt of, which was to see his books on beautiful white paper, which has happened, and to see all of his characters on screen, and like how much he wanted a Captain America movie, like a real one, and I was like, man, he didn't get to experience the end of Avengers Endgame, which is characters from every decade of his life coming together to make everyone in the world happy. One of the very few times the whole culture came together and said, yes, do that. We love it. And there's a million audience reaction videos on YouTube. You can watch them right now, like watching people just lose their shit as every decade of Jack Kirby's life comes together to make something fun for everybody, right? And he didn't get to experience that. And I thought of that while I was at the Spider-Verse premiere with my kids. Like me and my friends, I'm like Kelly Sue with Captain Marvel, we get to experience it in real time, knowing full well what a gift it is, and it is a tremendous gift. Also, a gift like you're talking about, like the early days when we were coming up, we couldn't dream of this stuff. Like none of this existed as we were entering the space. There was no movie universes and streaming services, and none of this. It was just, oh, I hope I get to make a book. Wouldn't it be cool if they collected it? Like those were the things like, oh man, I hope they make a trade paperback of this. That'd be awesome, right? That was the highest end. So for Ironheart to be sitting there number one on Disney Plus, it's just an insane gift, insane, you know?
Well, we just received an insane gift from Ted H, who dropped $50 on us and
Oh,
has a
good.
message for you. He says, "Thank you, Mr. Bendis. The pals may not have a big subscriber count, but their love for comics built such a great community. They always said they wanted you on, and today that dream has come true. Hopefully, we'll see you back for another interview soon."
Well, for sure. And I love I love being there to help build these communities as you're building them with the energy that you're clearly building them. It was an easy invitation to say yes to. I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of it. I do think that part of where we're headed is these pocket universes of fandom that we get to express specifically what we want to express. I just think it's the way it's always been. It's the way it's gonna be, you know. So I love coming in and saying hi, but also at the same time, like if you guys are like having a House of M tantrum, like you should do that. Like, you do that. Like I want that as well, weirdly, you know, like that's part of it. Like some of these choices were made, you know, to not to rile people up, but like, yeah, well, no, I know that not everyone's gonna love that idea. I know there's no dead body, there's people gonna be pissed, you know. And some of it came with experience, some of it came with um just wanting being a naughty little rascal. You know, it's like some of my heroes are naughty little rascals, storytelling wise, and you know, you want to see what that feels like, you know. And sometimes you do it by accident, like Ultimate Spider-Man. Um, like I remember killing Gwen Stacy and then immediately feeling no, dude, that was a no.
Yes.
We don't like you. And I was like, all right, one too far. Okay, good to know. It's sometimes you don't know where the line is until especially when you're dancing around it. But it's funny when the audience tells you absolutely not, that was over the line, and you go, yes, you're right. That was yeah, like you can immediately see it, and that was
You
one of them. There were a couple of times where
you
I was
killed my crush. Gwen Stacy
oh,
was my crush.
brought her back as soon as physically possible because the audience went, oh, and I'm like, okay, you're right, unearned. I actually thought I had earned it, but I hadn't. And I same thing with Miles's mom. That was another one where there was a reason, there was a story reason to do that then. And you could feel the audience was like, no, we like that his, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let's bring her back. Easy. Galactus is here. We can bring her back. No problem.
Now, I I met you when I was 16 or
Where?
so at New York Comic Con,
Cool.
3 years in a row.
What year was
And
this, do you think?
this would have been
2015?
around 2000, from like 2005 or six, and then 3 years after.
Oh, so maybe like the first New York Comic Con?
Yeah, yeah.
That was a crazy show. Like I remember it vividly how crazy that show was.
I barely do because I was so young,
Well,
but the
that's a deep end of the pool to dive into for a connection situation.
I was very lucky that my aunt
Yeah.
took me. But I really wanted to make comics, and I didn't know anything about it. I only knew that I liked reading them. So I said to you, Brian, how do I make comics? Like, what should I do? And you said, well, just make them. You write and you make them. And I said, oh, okay. And then I thought about it. I was like, that's not a great answer. So then the next year I got to see you and I asked you the same question, and you gave me the same answer.
I think it's the answer. Like, yeah, yeah.
And I've realized in all these intervening years, with all the things I've read Word for Pictures, I've read plenty of people's, books and things. And what I've come to realize is that I got the best advice the first time.
I
I
also
can't.
I like when young me. I'm not annoyed by the quote by young me. That always makes me happy. I like when there's some consistency. But yeah, it really is. You figure it out, and sometimes you literally have to make one. And how many people I've said similar things to, which is go fold a piece of paper into eighths and go make a mini comic, and just see how it feels. It's the version of just holding a guitar and playing around with it. Do you like how it feels? Like, do you feel an extension of yourself, like coming alive? And but it's annoying to hear sometimes, depending where you are in your journey. It's like, no, that's not the answer. I'm like, no, there's no man. Like, there's this quote by Jack Kirby I've literally used in my work a couple of times. It's so profound to me. He was on, and it's on YouTube. You can find it. Will Eisner had, on top of inventing the graphic novel, may have invented the comic book podcast with a series of interviews called Shop Talk, which they literally recorded on Citron tapes and they made it into a book. But Google it away. There's all these interviews with classic creators of that era, people he grew up with. So there's a great interview with him and Jack Kirby, and it was a story I had heard from Paul Dini and some people who worked with Jack Kirby in the animation space in their younger years. That the young people who, oh my God, that's Jack Kirby. He's working in the office. And then every time Jack Kirby would walk away from his table, someone would come in, like GF Darrows tell the story, how he would sneak up with a little Ziploc plastic bag, take the pencil, put it in the bag, zip it up, and run away. And then Jack Kirby would always come to his table, where are my fucking pencils? Like the kids the younger artists were stealing his stuff. And then at the same time, like people would come to him at conventions and go, what kind of pencil are you using? And then he finally realized, he go, oh, hey guys, it's not a magic pencil. It's not a wand where Galactus comes out of it. And it's not a magic pencil is really one of the greatest advices you can hear. It's not a magic trick. Just sit down and do it,
Mm.
right? And do it and keep doing it and keep doing it and love how frustrating it is. Like actually love, much like puzzles or Legos, love how hard it is to get it the way you want it to look the way it looks in your head to look that way on the page. So and also saying, hey, make a comic. It's also the answer to how do I break into comics? Because sometimes it's not even how do I make a comic, you make a comic, but how do I become part of comics?
Right.
You make an Ashcan comic, you are part of comics. There's no membership card, there's no corporate overlord. It's just you are part of the art form. That's all it takes. And sometimes just doing that effort, like making a comic book, trying to figure out who you are, and at the same time, it becomes your membership card to this life that you want, can be very self-fulfilling. Oh, look what I did for myself. I made my dream come true. No one else did it for me. I did it myself. And that was really hard. Now I have to do it 1,000 more times. Right. So yeah, that it just can be frustrating to hear depending where you are. And then eventually you hear and go, oh, that's the best advice. Just sit and do it. Just get it done. Just pick up the guitar.
Do you think that with the
That's why I
way
teach, by the way. I still teach. I'm a big
I believe me, I wish I could be in your class. Do you think that the way that technology has evolved, which has allowed for things like Kickstarters and people can post their web comics and everything like that, do you think it is now easier than ever or harder than ever to be noticed and to cultivate a career for yourself in the space of comics?
I spend a lot of time with this with my students, so I know I come from a bit of privilege where I've been published for a long time. So it may sound like, oh, well, you can get published. So it's not the same, but it's an effort for anyone to get published anytime in their careers. But watching some of my peers and some of my friends and some of my students make choices where they go, hey, you know what? I don't want to rely on this publisher. I don't want to rely on this system to tell my story. Particularly, we all feel like, for those who know, like Diamond collapsing, like none of us were fans of Diamond. We didn't like the rules that Diamond had set the table with, but it was like if you wanted to get comics in the comic stores, those are the rules you had to apply to, right? And but more and more over the years, you're seeing a lot more like let's use Kickstarter and the other things like that, where like I'm just going to find the audience and talk to them directly. Like I don't need a middleman. I don't need a publisher. I don't need an editor. I just want to get it out there, right? And there's always been in every medium a movement like this. Like we'll find our own money to make our movie. We'll find like there's always been people who somehow found a way to make their album, their movie, their comic book. Comic books are the one where you have the least amount of excuses not to do it. It's just paper and pen. It's just pixels and a digital pen. Like like movies cost money, recording costs money, making comics doesn't cost that much money, right? Um, so you can really get into it. So I'm a big believer in that, and I think as we go forward, there is going to be a larger divide between certain art forms that are both directly to the audience, and that audience is directly looking for a connection between the creators or new creators, older creators, and people who are happy to just buy stuff from corporations, right? I think there's going to be a wide divide as we go forward. But it's been building for a while. There's so many people who can't find their way into a publisher, but they're excellent. They're just not finding the right person at the right time. Sometimes it's just timing, right? There's nothing wrong with your work. It's just where you are and who's looking at it at the moment. So I'm a big believer of going forward, tell your story, and then really look at what you've done and learn from it and see what you like what do I need to work on, and which is by the way in all life thing. It's never like it's only in your 20s that you have to work on it. You have to work on it every single day for the rest of your life, right? And there's not a even as I described what went into Powers 25. Like there's no easy way into any of this. It's all a what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Why now? What happens if I don't? Right? And so yeah, I'm a big believer in not putting roadblocks in front of yourself, and I think that the new generation has the least amount of roadblocks in front of themselves than they ever had. Because sometimes you look at a publisher and go, "Oh, that's just an unclimbable wall." But you're like, "Oh, I can publish it myself. I can go raise the money myself." All right, well then I'm running out of excuses to make the thing that I said was the most important thing in my head, right? And don't worry if it's Star Wars. Maybe it is. Maybe it is because Star Wars wasn't Star Wars till it was Star Wars, right? But a lot of people they get in their own way and they go, "Oh, no one wants this." Maybe they do. You want it, so go make it. I really try to keep it as simple as possible. Like because I've seen so many people just really proud of themselves for getting it done. Just the basic level of just the mental health idea of I have an idea, and I got over my fear and I got it done. And then someone else read it and said, "Hey, good job." Just and it doesn't have to be a million people, just a couple of people. I know you're feeling it here too. Like there's enough people to go, you keep doing this. This is a good idea. It's a very healthy thing to be doing with your time on this planet, in my opinion. I hope that answers the question. It's a big one for me, and it's one that I give the students all the time. Is that whatever you're afraid of, like let's say you're genuinely afraid of failure, which is the big one. Failure is the big one. I have failed. My friends have failed. We have failed. It hurts. It sucks. And then you learn something from it, and it gets super exciting to the point now where when I fail at something, my body starts reacting in a weird way because I know the good stuff's right around the corner. Like that's how long I've been doing it. Where I go, oh, I'm going to learn my lesson here and then apply it to something else, and I'll feel great about it. That is something that not everyone's wired for, right? But all I can do is tell you whatever you're scared of happening to you in comics has happened to me, and everything's fine. Like not I've been dragged through the fandom ringer. I've been hosed for choices I've made, and it has not affected anything really, other than there's something to learn. You learn it, you move forward with it. So these things that people are scared of, I try to demystify them whenever I can.
That's a brilliant answer, and I think it again it does apply to life. So that's a life lesson from Brian Bendis, which you should take to the bank.
Yeah, it does, and again, very easier said than done. But sometimes, and I do it all the time, I look to my heroes, creative heroes that are in this industry and other industries, and I look to their journey as, okay, they did it. I'm going to do that and see what that feels like. All right. And sometimes it was the right thing for me, sometimes it wasn't, but I was thoughtful in my journey, so I'm never annoyed, if that makes sense. But also I know a lot of people who literally froze in fear, talented people who froze or somewhere down the line just stopped growing because, oh, you like that, then I'll just keep doing that over and over and over again. Which is another version of fear. Um, and it's heartbreaking. And never when no one never go, man, I was scared out of my mind and I stayed there and I'm thrilled I did it. It becomes a corrosive part of them, and it affects them artistically. So be fearless because there's nothing to really be scared of, because even the bad stuff is good stuff. That's it. I'll stop.
No, we love it, and I really wish we could sit here for another however long and keep doing this, but we do have to let Mr. Bendis go.
I'll take you got one more. You got one more goodie in there before we wrap it up, or you're feeling good. I know there's so much buildup here. I really want to.
Well, if you're leaving it up to me, I don't want to let my voice be the last voice in that respect. I do want to turn it over to an audience member, and ask one of their questions. So Tyler,
I think Marco's got some stuff.
Marco's percolating over there, but
I see some percolating.
Well, you can see the steam coming out of Marco's ears.
Yeah, it's just coming out. Caught me there. But equally, I think definitely would want to.
You're not as big at the Gwen Stacy murder. Your head, you bobbleheaded.
So. How could you?
I'll call one out from one of the viewers here. This is Robert222. He has a Daredevil question. He said, in your Daredevil run, Matt's identity leaked in 2002, and his secret stayed out until 2015. How do you feel knowing? Yeah, how do you feel knowing that one of your plot points had that long of an impact, even after you were no longer writing it?
Literally thought that Genie would go back in the bottle page 2 of Ed Brubaker's run. If like knowing what I know about comics, I did kind of gently put it out there that it's kind of cooler to leave it out there. It's like there's more to like I had discovered there's way more to write about. If there's one character in the Marvel Universe whose life is just in secret identity hell constantly, right? It's just becomes a thing. And that was my initial pitch, not the haha, we revealed him. It's, the shared universe of this is he's the sloppiest with his secret identity of almost anyone in the Marvel Universe. If you make Google eyes at him, he'll let you know he's Daredevil, right? So, and with all of the criminality and my research into kingpins and gangs and what you're looking for your weak spots, it just felt like this, boy, wouldn't it be great if there was one character in the Marvel universe that all the other superheroes look at and go, oh, let's keep it in the, like there's a cautionary tale of like right out there that they all know that they have to deal with. So, so yes, I'm thrilled it stayed that way. And I did gild the lily a little bit by it was one of the great handoffs I've ever been part of, which is I grew up with Ed Brubaker. We came in together. We're still really good pals. He was literally living right over there while he's prepping the criminal TV show here this summer.
Wow.
And so when I got to call him and go, hey, you want to take over Daredevil with months of lead time, I got to say, I have this idea and it only really works if you're into it. But what if Matt goes to jail for all of this, which is what should happen, right? And that only works if you really want to go there. Oh man, like, and we're both like Frank Miller babies, so we're like anything that isn't Frank is good news. Like so this was a story engine that let him take it even further, and that was super exciting. So I did get to kind of like keep keep the wheels turning for a while. So when it became part of other people's storytelling, I was thrilled, and waiting for him to put the genie back in the bottle a long time, and they really. I mean, 15 years is a big chunk of that character's history. That's not small. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that because it wasn't done to be cheeky. It wasn't done for the monthly. Oh, look what happened this month. It's like this. Wouldn't that be cool if this was the book was about? Yeah. I'm also thrilled. Daredevil is one of the books that when I was coming up, there was like classic books and new books, and something's happened. I think because of the digital services and just the way the books are marketed, that people can't tell what's old or new anymore, or don't are not as focused on it as they were. And that same thing with TV. Like one of my daughters loves Gilmore Girls. Like I don't think she realizes it's 25 years old. And at all, like I really don't think she does. And every once in a while, someone goes, "What are they holding?" Oh, that's a phone, like a pre-iPhone phone. You know, why is it folding? Anyway, so I love and did not expect like some of our runs would land well years later. That makes me very happy. I was writing it with some kind of pop culture, like don't make too many references that will age terribly. I've only got one really bad one in Daredevil, but just one I go, oh, it doesn't have to be in there. Like I was so happy when Carson Daly got the job on the Today Show because that keeps that joke going
That's
for another couple
hilarious.
years.
Yeah.
Because that one could have died terribly. I think there's a Spice Girls joke I'm not thrilled with.
You put Five Guys on the map for me
Oh, and
because you
that's
wouldn't
just
stop
me looking
talking
for
about
free
it.
food.
Did
So
that work out?
yes, you
Smart.
find out.
Yeah.
I worked at a newspaper before I worked while I was making my comics in the 90s. I worked at the Cleveland Plain Dealer where I got a page to go nuts with, and I would do bits. And slowly but surely, like I did a joke about Auntie Anne's pretzels. I don't know if you have that in your
Oh
area.
God, I love it. I'm
Oh,
obsessed.
I can tell from the look. I was like, how you're addicted to Auntie Anne pretzels. And I got an email from Auntie Anne herself saying she wanted to send me a present. And I'm like, oh, all right. Starving boy now has a new way to feed himself. This is good. So yeah, so every once in a while I would throw out a reference that was not doesn't throw you out of it, but yeah, I'm hoping for free fries.
That's amazing. I'm so glad I know the backstory of that now. Because I literally was like, I got to find out what Five Guys is. And then they opened a location in New York and I went and I loved it.
And they still
And
have the
that was some
panels
of the
up.
things
Yeah.
that I was making Portland references for Queens, that things weren't there, and I was grateful my editor go, what is this? What is this chicken
Well,
place doesn't exist here.
we
And
don't
how
want
hungry are you?
to. The more we talk about it, hungrier and hungrier.
All right.
I don't want to take advantage. You have been more than gracious with your time. The last thing I want to say is from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being one of my heroes in life.
Thank you.
Creating, I know what it means for you to have created Miles Morales. And no matter how long I live, that's always going to mean the world to me. I have friends who I ask their kids, who's Spider Man? They tell me Miles.
Crazy. Yeah.
When I have kids, if I get to have kids one day, they will have a Spider Man that looks like them, and I will be forever grateful. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. That is a hug in my life that never stops. It's been going on many, many years now. I was even in Cleveland just recently for the Superman event, and where I grew up in Cleveland. A lot of this stuff was my first Spider-Man's and Jessica Jones were created in Cleveland, and I went back there, and I was at this Q&A, and this maybe 7-year-old in a Miles outfit came leaping at me, just jumping out of the thing with such love, and it was like the perfect encapsulation of what the last years have felt like, just all the time and internationally, and it's quite beautiful. And it's another thing where I like to point to people about how much shit I took for it when it was announced versus what it became, and don't listen to the other thing because didn't matter. None of it mattered, you know?
And not to, I'm not trying to make a larger racial commentary. I mean, I guess I am, but I don't want to take us in that direction. But like, you, in a way, you're putting yourself on the line because people will come for you,
Yeah.
for all manner of reasons, and that didn't deter you, and that means the world to someone like me, because you birthed something, you and everyone else who worked on Miles, that now will live beyond you.
I
Um,
also my biggest thing, I appreciate that beyond the cultural things is that Miles became this engine in which lots of people got to express themselves artistically. There's the movies, but also the video games where, and I'll never understand fully why so many artists bring their best self to the projects, and then it comes out in a way that way beyond anything I could have ever achieved. It makes me so happy. There was 1,000 working artists on the last Spider-Verse movie. I just love the art job generation, which is again nothing I've done, nothing I've it just makes me very happy that that's what's actually happening. It's beyond. I can't even tell you. It's incredible.
Thank you. The audience
Thank
is thanking
you.
you. This has been one of the highlights of my life, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Tell you what, I'm going to make a commitment right here on the air in front of everybody that there's a couple things brewing. I will come back and talk to you about them when it's appropriate. Okay? Happy to do
Yes,
so. I think you'll know it when you see it.
I'm very
Fun.
excited. You have now given me something to look forward to. You guys, get Powers 25 #1 that is going to be available in your store September 10th. Let your local comic shop know that you want it. Support great creators and books regardless of what the publisher is. That is how we keep this thing going and show these creators how much we love them. Brian, thank
It's a
you.
yeah, by the way, it's a Dark Horse comic, but if you are strapped this month and school is starting, Powers, the original Powers Volume 1 is available for free for a limited time only on almost every digital service that produces digital comics. Go to Amazon, Global Comics, whatever. The list is on my social media. Go there. It's free, no strings attached. It's just us saying thank you. So, and also we know you'll buy the others if you read it. So I'm alive. There's a bit of a string, but I just want to say thank you to everyone. Free comic, enjoy. And come visit me at jinxworld.com. If you need, Jinx World also has a service where you can have access to the dozens of classes we've been teaching over the last few years. We recorded classes, we do them live. We're doing a book club with John Suchers' Word Balloon, where we just get into the deep dive. Our next one, I believe, will be 100 Bullets. So if you want to be part of that, you want to learn. I have all my friends have unloaded every thought they have about making comics into one space where you can kind of dip your toe in and see who's speaking truth to you. All right. So there's a space there if you need more of this, there's more to be had.
We all need more Bendis.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for